Hello guys and welcome back. In today's video we're going to be doing something slightly different on the channel, however we are maintaining the historical theme. Now this is going to be something I want to do at least every month, maybe once a week, and they're going to be short historical videos of some interesting events that happened before our time. Today we have the story of how 14 Dutch warships were captured by a single unit of Hussars. Now the Hussars did have support from a single battalion of line infantry and arguably a French horse artillery piece. Now the cannon may or may not have been there, but we'll talk about that later on. The events took place during the War of the First Coalition, and the war started in 1792. Now this war was actually brought around by the French Revolution, where the French monarchy was overthrown. The royalty of the countries in close proximity to France were not very happy with these events, to say the least. Ultimately, this provoked Great Britain, Holland and Spain to join Austria and Prussia in the First Coalition against revolutionary France. It's worth noting that this is not the Napoleon Wars, they happened around 11 years later. Perhaps the most remarkable thing that took place during the First War of Revolution is when a single regiment of Hussars managed to capture 14 Dutch warships. Now there are two stories surrounding this battle, but we're going to begin with the most exciting one. On the night of the 23rd of January 1795, the Hussar regiment led by J.G. de Winter was informed about a Dutch fleet hauled up inside the Bay of Den Helder. It had been a particularly severe winter, and luckily for the French, the portion of the Dutch fleet had been completely encased in ice. The Hussar regiment, which I have researched and discovered that could have been around 100 to 400 men, but make sure to correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, wrapped cloth around the hooves of their horses to soften their blow against the ice. And then they charged towards the Dutch as they slept. They took every ship with absolutely no casualties. A particularly good quote I found from the text of A.G.M. MacDonald read, "The ragged men thundered on their horses across the ice to capture with naked swords the battle fleet of Holland." The morale within the French cavalry would have been absolutely sky high. They'd just taken 14 Dutch warships single-handedly without taking any casualties. The French infantry followed up and then also helped to take over the remaining ships. And obviously the Dutch offered no resistance, as they were just so surprised. Who would expect a massive group of cavalry and infantry charging over the ice to take their ship? I mean, they probably didn't even know the sea was frozen over, as I imagine it happened overnight. Either that or the Dutch admiral was astoundingly stupid. In total, the French captured 850 guns, which is an absolutely astronomical amount of cannon. I mean, that's a lot. The writer de Jonge describes the popular version as a myth and a slur on the Dutch nation, intended to insult the country, when in fact a much less dramatic series of events took place. Now, this is what actually happened, apparently. Now, we can't actually confirm that either of these sources are the correct ones. However, this is the second story. When the Dutch military resistance to the advancing French forces crumbled, Willem de Winter, the commander of the Hussars that we spoke about earlier, a formal Dutch naval officer now in the French service, was sent by the French general to lead a regiment of French Hussars into the port of Den Helder, for two reasons. The first of these was to prevent the strongpoint of Den Helder falling into British hands. The second was to prevent the ships in the nearby Nui, I really cannot pronounce that. That's a very hard thing to pronounce. I'll put it on screen. From escaping to Britain. De Winter's forces eventually arrived and subsequently rowed across the ice to the Dutch command ship. Now, according to this source, the Dutch fleet had already received orders to offer no resistance. Instead, some of the French Hussars merely crossed the ice for a meeting with the Dutch officers to negotiate a handover. The agreement consisted of the officers and the men of the fleet must swear an oath to comply with the French orders, not to sail the ships without French authority. I personally would have enjoyed the first account to be the more reliable. However, in my opinion, reading the second account, it does appear that that's probably the most likely one that happened. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy the video. Now, I'm joining a Mountain Blade Napoleonic Wars regiment, and I'm going to be doing maybe a couple of videos on there, who knows. I might be just playing it for fun. But if you do want to join me in that, make sure to check the description for all the instructions on how to join. Anyway, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, as well as subscribing if you're new. We're heading towards 12,000 subscribers, which is just insane. I still cannot believe this, guys. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy the video yet again, and I will see you in the next one.